Well, as it turns out, UN peacekeepers are not the only ones being pressured to leave the African continent. France is being pushed out of the Sahel region by the coup government in Niger. But President Emmanuel Macron even goes as far as to claim that if indeed it wasn't for the French presence, West African states wouldn't even exist.
France intervened from 2013 because states asked us to, because they simply were cut in half. If France hadn't intervened, if our troops hadn't laid down their lives in Africa, we wouldn't be talking about Mali, nor about Burkina Faso, nor Niger. Those states wouldn't exist. I can guarantee you that.
Well, this all comes as Niger's coup government has demanded the French ambassador leave the country. And despite her deadline expiring, he's still there, apparently staying low in his residence. Now, President Macron says that diplomat won't be going anywhere, as Paris simply does not recognize the new authorities in Niamey. Well, many locals in Niger are backing their government's decision. They want to see that French ambassador gone.
These people are provoking us to do an aggressive act so they can have a pretext, but they will not have it. Whatever time it will take, the French ambassador will leave Niger. Niger is determined to assume its responsibilities with regard to its sovereignty and with regard to its full independence. We're convinced it's a matter of time and the ambassador will eventually pack up and return to France.
The ambassador must leave, and he shall leave. The population has risen up. Every day the population is still up. They're looking for the French to leave. France must leave our country, and France will leave our country amicably.
France does not have the right to despise or not recognize the legitimate authorities of our country. Legitimacy is acquired through the people. It is not up to France to decide who will be legitimate, who will not be. Not in our country. Ambassadors have been driven out by soldiers in other countries, and France must recognize it lost.
Well, Niger's coup government is also demanding that all French troops still present in the country get out. One local journalist sent us this report about the current latest situation on the ground.
Here's the French military base in Niamey. About 1,500 French soldiers are based in the country. The base in Niamey, with its Reaper drones and fighter planes, is basically the spearhead of the French military presence in this country. That number excludes special forces. It is this fortress that unarmed Nigerian civilians want to dislodge. Since the coup put an end to the regime of Mohamed Bazoum, the pressure is strong on the French soldiers entrenched in this camp and apparently determined to stay there. But for these Nigerians, enough is enough. The French troops must leave Niger.
Niger belongs to Nigerians, and they have decided to never again have an official French presence in Niger. This fight does not only concern the French military base. All of those who are here have to ask for permission first. If our people don't need them, they're not going to stay here.
We came to make the French leave Niger because we are tired of what they are doing here. The French must leave. We will protest until that happens. We could enter their base and force them out.
The role of the Niamey military base would be crucial in the event of a decision by ECOWAS to intervene militarily. It could be a major source of logistical and air support. It also protects the French ambassador, who has been declared a persona non grata, but refuses to leave this country.
Just like Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso have also turned their backs on their former colonial overlord of France. And strong words from one political analyst from Burkina Faso who believes that President Macron is actually losing his grip on the continent.
I think Macron is living the last days of the terrible and shameful French colonialism in Africa. As a political commentator, I concluded that Mr. Macron does not want to learn from his mistakes and hear the voice of the Sahel people who are exhausted by the crimes that are being committed on his land. I will say more. Macron seems to be personally undermining France's influence in the region. The population of the Sahel and Africa as a whole is mobilized. They're ready to nullify the neo-colonialists' attempts to seize the Sahel. Burkina Faso and Mali have already deployed their strategic forces to provide concrete support to Niger in the event of an attack by ECOWAS or directly by France. All the popular demonstrations that have gathered millions of Nigerians across the country are the very auxiliary army that's waiting in the wings to protect the Sahel and its strategic interests and put France in its place. And since Macron is only accelerating the process of the natural decline of France's influence in the region, we will simply accompany him in this process. It's absolutely certain that the African population is mobilized and they will be able to give an adequate response to the imposition of solutions, neo-colonialism and French imperialism.